So a big question a lot of new shooters have is, what do I need to bring with me to the range when I go out shooting? Whether or not this is your first time going out, or whether or not this is your first time going out on your own to go shooting, you know, obviously you should be bringing things like your firearm, eye protection, your hearing protection, of course, ammunition. Some of these are more specific to a certain task that you may be trying to accomplish when you go out there, but these are things that I found that in addition to those basics, this might be a list that you find helpful. All right, so object number one is a target stand. So this is something that I think every one of you guys probably needs to have at least some form of. It doesn't have to be fancy, doesn't have to be crazy. As you guys can probably see in the background, this thing's not exactly high dollar or anything like that. Alright, so this is nothing more than a really cheap frame that I made out of some 1x1, and then the base is made out of some 2x4s. So, you know, you can go to Home Depot and Lowe's and pick up all the materials to make one of these for probably about 10-15 bucks. They're not very expensive to make. And the cool part about it is when you buy the materials, you typically are able to make 3 or 4 of these. The cardboard's nothing more than moving boxes you can pick up at Walmart. I mean, I think each one of these boxes costs like 2 or 3 bucks. For each one of those you get 4 different panels. Because I just take a staple gun and I staple each one of these corners in, and then after that I can attach my targets right to that. You don't have to make yours as tall as I did mine. You know, if you make them about this tall, they'll typically fit in the back of most compact cars, you know, where the seat folds down. For the longest time, I was packing these in the back of my CR-V. You know, it's the Japanese kid-sized SUV. That thing would fit 4 of these in the back of it just fine. So real cheap, quick and easy, and yeah, it worked really well. All right, so you've got your target stand set up, you've got your cardboard on your target stand. What do you shoot at? Paper plates. You don't have to use this size. If you're just starting out shooting and you want to use the larger plates to kind of give you something a little bit bigger to aim at, then by all means, you know, you can use paper plates of all sorts of different sizes. Just take a paper plate, take a Sharpie, make a little dot on it. You can staple these up to your target stand, and then when you're done with them, you just rip them down, throw them in the back of your vehicle, so that way you can go dispose of them properly. You can set up several of these all over your stand, and that gives you multiple points of aim if you want to work on transitions, or if you want to work at tracking your sights from point to point. You know, several paper plates over several target stands gives you a lot of individual targets to shoot at, and these things are super cheap. You can pick these up at the dollar store. All right, so number 3, good cheap staple gun. Staple gun is something that you're going to use pretty often whenever you're hanging targets out of the range. Maybe you need to replace the cardboard on your stands that you built. Staple gun works great for that. If you're putting up your paper plates, staple gun works great for that. This is something that pretty much lives in my truck all the time. I throw this in the back in the toolbox, and that's where it sits. I also keep a spare pack of staples in the back of the truck, so that way I have those. Item number 4 is this stuff right here. Masking tape. Cheap, super easy to find. You know, so if you take your masking tape and you tear off a little piece and you tape up the holes from the drill you may have just ran, or maybe let's say you were zeroing your rifle and you were shooting at a target, you know, you can use masking tape to kind of just tape over what you just shot. Something I always keep, again, in my range bag, so that way I've always got it. This one's the cheap Duck brand, and it works just fine. All right, next up in the range bag is going to be this guy, which is a shot timer. Now, I know what some of you guys are thinking. You're like, yeah, those aren't cheap. Why am I... but you don't have to go buy one of these. The cool part about it is, you know, if you own a smartphone, which pretty much everyone does nowadays, you can find shot timer apps on your smartphones. Pretty much whether or not you're on Android or whether or not you're on iOS, you can find shot timer apps for your respective phones. Granted, they may not be the most precise shot timer out there. They may be a little bit buggy as far as how they work. They do work. The reason why I like taking a shot timer with me is because it does add some type of metric to where I can measure my performance by. Whether or not I'm improving, whether or not I'm getting worse. Another thing about shot timers is you can use them to kind of induce just a little bit of stress into your practice. So if my goal is to pull my pistol out of my holster and put a shot on target within 3 seconds, then now I have a way with a shot timer, whether it's on this or whether it's on my phone, to be able to measure that. My phone, it's probably not going to be the most accurate. It's going to have times where it misses picking up a shot. But then I get to run the drill again, right? Speaking of which, let's go ahead and talk about What are we on? Item number 5? Item number 6. Something to set your phone on, and like a phone stand, a tripod adapter for your phone. They make all sorts of different ones. And the reason why I'm saying your phone is because, again, most people have one of these, and most phones nowadays are able to shoot some form of slow motion video. Now, some of you guys might know where I'm going with this. Being able to take video of yourself while you're practicing is an extremely useful tool to be able to go back and review what you were doing while you were doing it. There's a lot of different things that we may pick up on video that we didn't notice we were doing while we were actually shooting. So having some form of setting up your phone to be able to videotape yourself is awesome. These phone adapter tripod thingies, or I don't know, whatever you want to call it, they're super cheap. You can go to Walmart and get them. You can order them on Amazon. I think this one cost me like maybe $5. This one, I don't even know if it was that much, and it came with a little crappy tripod. Alright, item number 7 on the list, and just to clarify, this list is in no specific order of importance. But the next item is some type of range bag. This is the one I pretty much use whenever I go out pistol shooting. It's got a nice little pocket back here. I can take my pistol, kind of just slide it in this back pocket, and have that ready to go. And then I've got tons of storage inside of here. I can put my ammunition in here, I can put my masking tape in here, I can put my staple gun in here. I can pretty much put everything except for my target stand inside of this bag. You just need a bag to be able to transport your stuff from your home to the range. Having a bag makes it extremely easy to just kind of throw all of your stuff in. You know, some of the stuff you can just leave in your bag, like your hearing protection, your eye protection, masking tape, your staple gun, paper plates, all of that stuff. You can just leave it in your bag, so that way you just grab your bag, add some of the things that you want to take, and just go. So it makes it a lot easier to stay organized, makes it a lot less likely for you to forget something at home if you have a bag that you use strictly for whenever you go out to the range. Item number 8, multi-tool. This one is a Leatherman that I've had for ages. I've probably had this, oh god, probably close to 15, almost 20 years now. The amount of times that I've needed one of these to clear casing out of a jammed gun, or I don't know, do all sorts of different things. On occasion, I've even had to use this thing as a hammer. You know, you grab it, I've just literally beat the shit out of things sometimes. This particular one, I don't take out of my range bag. It pretty much lives in there the entire time. Anytime I go out to go shooting, I always know it's there in case I need it. Item number 9 is a rangefinder. And the reason why I say a rangefinder is happy, rangefinder's happy. A rangefinder comes in handy for a lot of different reasons. Some of those might be like if you're zeroing your rifle, you're learning the ballistics of the ammunition that you're shooting, making sure that you're legal to shoot in certain areas. I use this a lot when I'm zeroing something in. I zero most of my rifles at 100 yards, so being able to set up a target and then walk back to where I'm shooting at and then kind of check it and say, okay, cool, I'm at 100 yards, so that way I know my zero's on at 100 yards and it's validated. You know, another thing this is super handy for is learning how to estimate range. So you can kind of learn to estimate how far something is by ranging it, learning, okay, that's how far that target looks away, because it's not a skill that we usually practice in life. And you don't have to spend a lot of money on these. You can find these online for anywhere from 80 to 100 bucks. I think I bought this one at Cabela's for like $100 on sale. You can spend more money on one of these. If you spend like $200 to $400, you can get one that goes out to like 2,000 yards and does all sorts of other fancy cool things, but you really don't need to spend that much. For the most part, when we're going out for a range day and we're new shooters that are learning how to shoot, we're not trying to stretch our legs to 1,000 yards yet. We're learning how to shoot at 100 yards, 50 yards, 25 yards, 10, 15. A rangefinder that's, you know, relatively affordable will do that for you. All right, and last but very not least is a flashlight. Sometimes I go shooting in the afternoons and I might be out there until the sun sets. You know, a flashlight's super handy for taking down your target, inspecting the area for any of your spent casings so that way you can pick those up. If you ever have a gun malfunction and you need to take it apart and kind of inspect what's going on, even in daylight, a flashlight will allow you to see things that you may not normally pick up. And the one that I carry on me pretty much every day is this guy. It's a Streamlight Micro Stream. You can pick these things up for like 15, 20 bucks nowadays. They even have a more powerful version that's 250 lumen output and it's USB rechargeable, so that's kind of cool. Probably need to buy one of those. Maybe my wife will watch this and get me one for Christmas. It's a Streamlight MicroStream USB. I'd love it in Coyote. Where was I going with this? And this is a Coast that uses AAA batteries, and it puts out a pretty decent amount of light, and this thing lives on my range bag all the time. And I think, again, I paid like 30 bucks for this flashlight, and anytime I go out to the range, I have some method of providing artificial light, so that way if I need it, I've always got it with me. So hopefully you guys found this video helpful. These are just some of the things that I take with me anytime I go to the range, and I have found super useful over the years. Appreciate you guys for watching, and I will talk to you guys next time.